once you've planned the day and you've identified those visually appealing and relevant locations, you want to make sure that you're filming everything and not to like a crazy extent, right? What we want to do is shoot for short and steady clips, not moving, not panning, not motion, but 10 to 15 seconds of video where we can reuse those down the road for other pieces of content. Greetings and welcome back to the Kiss My Aesthetic podcast. On today's solo episode, I'm going to be recapping for you the 2 types of video content that I think every founder should be making on a regular basis. And this goes across the board, across industry, across types of business, everything. The point of this is that when you're working with a social media management team like ours, for example, this is the kind of content that we actually cannot make for you. We can make lots of different types of content. We're quite good at making lots of different types of content, if I do say so myself. But these very 2 specific types of content are things that really need to come from the horse's mouth. You as the business owner, this is what we need to see on a regular basis to make sure that we're actually continuing to promote your product or service in a way that your audience is going to connect with who you are as the founder, the owner of the company. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and read through these write-ups. We have, as I mentioned, already sent these to our social media clients and have been implementing them across their socials, but some people learn better with video and audio, so you're going to get it in this form as well. You guys know, if you've been following me for a while, that I personally use these 2 types of content all the time. And the reason is it really kind of gives you a glimpse into the ethos and the brain and the process of myself as the business owner so that you can get to know me better in that know, like, trust cycle. Right? So the first type of content is what I'm calling day in the life content. Basically, take us with you on your day of doing your job. Something I want to caveat here is that we want to make sure that you're doing this in a way that still promotes your product or service, not as an advertisement, but in a way that shows off what it is that you actually do. Although your breakfast may be part of your morning routine and your workout and hanging out with your girlfriends and watching Getting Happy Hour, that may not actually sell the product or service as much as explaining how you do your job throughout the day and what the impact of doing that job has on your business, on your company as a whole. So what I've done here is actually write out 4 to 5 steps that I would want to see from our clients on creating their own version of their day in the life content. So this is in their folders. It's labeled Day in the Life Content SOP. And it starts first by making a plan. Step 1, we want to make sure that we outline the key moments that you're wanting to film. For example, this could be your morning prep. This could be highlighting an event, a task, or a tour. This could be interactions with colleagues or customers, interactions with your environment, and any kind of like closing moments or end of the day reflections. So really kind of map out on paper or on ChatGPT or in your notes app what the outline of the plan of your day in my life content would look like, starting from morning, noon, afternoon to night. The next thing is you want to identify which are going to be the visually appealing and relevant shots that you want to get for each of those things. So there's a tendency with day in my life content to only want to show like the prettiest, nicest parts of your day. And what I actually want to see is the realism. So if you're having a client call and that's a big part of your day for your day in the life content, investing in like a small iPhone tripod and having it off screen off in the corner that's recording you looking into your laptop or on the phone. We don't have to obviously include what it is that the content of what you said, but we need the visual that shows you actually doing the job part. And this could look, you could totally self-film this, right? This could be tripod, this could be handheld, this could be asking a friend or a colleague to get videos of you doing what you do. So first, plan, figuring out what's the morning, noon, afternoon, and evening moments that you're trying to capture for your day in the life content. And then on top of that, identifying which are going to be those appealing visuals and relevant locations to tell the story of your day and how you do your job. It's crazy how much day in the life content helps with your marketing because what you think is boring will be interesting to the person who wants to hire you or buy something from you. So even though what I think is boring, which is like creating a mood board, for example, someone may have questions about that. Someone who's interested in working with us for branding might be like, wait a second, I really need to have more information about what this mood board thing is and what's going on. And the way that day in the life content is so interesting and so relatable is that you can kind of put yourself in the shoes of not only you, the business owner, but as the recipient of the product or the service. So, next step, once you've planned the day and you've identified those visually appealing and relevant locations, you want to make sure that you're filming everything and not to like a crazy extent, right? What we want to do is shoot for short and steady clips, not moving, not panning, not motion, but 10 to 15 seconds of video where we can reuse those down the road for other pieces of content. So each activity that you do in those 10 to 15 second splits should be somewhat different. So let's say I'm making my day in the life video and I'm showing how I set up my workspace to design branding. I'm going to put the camera on the tripod, hit record, open my laptop, get out my notebook, light a candle, do the things that I want to do to kind of showcase that I'm getting ready to do that part of the job, because we can always isolate that clip and use it for something else later. So we definitely want to avoid the motion of the camera being too jarring. There's a tendency, especially for like newer content creators or people who aren't as comfortable being on camera, to film stuff very handheld and film it as you would see it. That makes for a really chaotic viewing experience when that's all stitched together in a montage. So even though you're taking 10 to 15 second clips at a time, we might cut down your day in the life video where those clips are only like 0.4 seconds each, right? Maybe it's the view from your window, then the coffee cup, then a zoom in on your laptop, then blah, 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 blah. We want to make sure that those clips aren't moving so that we can actually capture the action of what's happening in the scene. Think about this when you're watching your favorite show or movie, right? There's not a crazy transition. It's not that we go from this actor and then we turn around and we put our camera on this actor and then we turn around and put the camera on the other actor. They're just cut, but this camera stays still so you can focus on the content of the actual visual that you're seeing, right? The idea here is also to film about 3 to 5 clips per location, and you want to vary the distance of the subject in each clip. So think about using a mix of wide crop, medium crop, and close-up crops for visual variety. For example, if I'm going to go work from a coffee shop, I may take a video from the exterior of the coffee shop. I might take a video that's zoomed in of the pastries in the counter, right? And then I might take a medium shot of where I'm planning to sit as I like walk into frame and sit down at the coffee shop. And all of those clips help to, again, set the scene, tell the story, give the context of what it is that we're looking at. So 3 to 5 clips per location, each clip probably 10 to 15 seconds of video each, so that we can repurpose and reuse for other things. Because, for example, if you're filming your day in the life content video and you go meet a client for lunch at a restaurant, we can isolate all those clips that are just from the restaurant and then make its own video to help promote that restaurant as like a place that reflects your values or is interesting to you or has really incredible food, community building, right? So thinking about 3 to 5 clips per location, 10 to 15 seconds each. Don't worry about editing it. Don't worry about cutting it together. Try to keep the camera still. That's what we're looking for. For filming these different locations, you want to make sure that you have transition clips. And what I mean by transition clips is logical bookends that shows from place to place. So for example, like I said, with showing up to the coffee shop, get the video from across the street where you parked your car of the whole exterior of the coffee shop before you just go in, so that we don't go from you sitting at your desk to a coffee in a mug at a coffee shop. Right? We need to have those transitions or those like bookends from each scene to make it make sense throughout the day. So that could be doors opening, getting in and out of the car, walking up to your location, or showing signage that will help tell the story in your day in the life content and give it context, give it location to make sure that we're seeing in a logical storytelling, chronological way how you're getting from point A to point B. Makes for better day in the life content. We also want to ensure that there's good lighting and audio. Audio, a little less important. You'll likely do voiceover for your day in the life content, but you want to always consider audio because sometimes you can pick up some really interesting environmental sound that just gives a layer of like texture and realness to your video that otherwise you wouldn't have. So pay attention to background conversations, pay attention to things like air conditioning machines or other audio distractions that would take you out of scene. But I'm thinking, for example, like the real estate clients we work with, if they're going to film a day in the life content and there's a fountain fountain in the backyard of the house that they're showing, capture that audio, capture the sound of that like trickling water, capture the sound of the wind in the trees and the birds in the area. Start paying attention to that. And even if it's not obvious in your day in the life content, it will come into use in the repurposing of the clips that you capture. Lighting is also very important. I should have said this at the very top of the entire episode that if you do not wipe the lens of your camera before you film, don't even try. Because the lens, it's the simplest, best way to improve the quality of the video in your camera is to just microfiber cloth inside of your t-shirt, back of your pocket of your jeans, something. Physically wipe the lens of your smartphone camera, and that will make your picture quality so much better. The other thing to consider is backlighting. So you want to kind of pay attention to where the sunlight is, especially if you're going to be indoor and outdoor in your day in the life content. Paying attention to where the light is and trying not to film into the sun. Because when you do that, things end up very backlit, and it starts to become a little bit more tricky to make that look aesthetically pleasing. Instead, you want to shoot in the same direction as the sun. So you want to have the sun behind you, lighting up the subject matter that you're looking at in order to keep that nice, even lighting and not make it so jarring from scene to scene to scene. So those are kind of the filming best practices of creating day in the life content as a founder. So first we make a plan, then we film everything. The third step is to upload everything. And not upload them to socials, but upload them to some kind of backup, whether that's your iCloud, a Canva folder, a Google Drive, a something. You want to take all those raw clips before they like end up in the graveyard of your camera roll and put them somewhere and label it and say, this was Friday, and I went to these 5 places, day in the life. Then if you really want to get organized about it, you'll actually name the files all the way down. But you want to have just a dumping spot to put everything, because then if you're working with us, that allows our team to dive in, find all those clips, rework them, recut them together, etc. So we have a naming convention that we like when we're uploading into Canva. If we have set up a folder for a client that's day in the life folder, we will name it year, month, day, dash, location, day in the life. So for example, like 2025, January 16th, dash, San Diego, day in the life. That's one way to do it. And that keeps it organized in a chronological way so that we have all the 2024, all the 2025, all the 2020, etc., broken down by month as well. In my perfect world, every founder would do this once a week. Because imagine if you had this recurring episode, basically almost similar to the podcast, where every week you were recapping what you were working on, who you were helping, how you were helping them, and showcasing how you do your job well as a day in the lifestyle content, once a week, I think would crush. It would really start to give the person who's considering working with you almost like as if they're opting into your own TV show. They're like opting into the channel or like the production that is your company. And so getting into the habit of doing this as part of your marketing routine, your marketing hygiene would be wonderful. So that's step 3 is uploading and databasing everything. Put it all in a folder. Even if you don't do a bunch with it afterwards, it's better to get into the habit of organizing your content before you start the edit. Then the last piece of this is all of the editing and the voiceover. So you can take all the clips that you have at the time of recording this. CapCut is working, kind of, but we don't know how long that's going to be considering the TikTok ban. There are other tools. InShot, you can use iMovie, you can use Canva to edit. My recommendation is to take all those 10, 15-second clips that you have from your whole day of your day in the life content and put each clip on its own slide in Canva. So you could start a new reel, you want to upload each clip, and then you want to trim them down to what I'm calling like the visually most engaging or most relevant moments. So for example, if you have your 10 to 15-second clip of you sitting down at the coffee shop and then your latte gets delivered on this side and then your breakfast gets delivered on the other side, then maybe you can cut that 10 to 15-second clip down to like the 1.5 seconds that those two things got dropped off at your table, right? So you're just like cutting out the extra noise, you're editing. You're just like you would take a really long sentence and shorten it down to a phrase. You're going to take this longer clip and chop it down just to get to the most essential part of that content. Then once you have all of your clips lined up, the goal is to have that day in the life video be less than 90 seconds total. The trick with that is you want it to be longer than a minute, but not so long that people start to drop off. And you can also do some interesting hooks in your voiceover to get people to watch to the end. So the longer that someone watches your content is the more that stuff gets boosted in your algorithm. So more people will then see it. That's quite literally how the algorithm performs. So the algorithm, when you're posting something, it's releasing that content to a certain number of people. Based on the behavior of those people is how that content gets pushed out more. So if those first, let's call them 5, if those first 5 people, 4 of them watch the entire video, that video is going to go out to 5, 10, 15, 20 more people, right? If 5 people watch the video and only one person stays to the end, everybody else clicks away or swipes out of it, then it's not going to keep pushing that content, right? So we want to make sure that, again, visually engaging, 90 seconds or less for this whole day in the life video. And then my recommendation is to actually not add any music until you've done your voiceover. The reason is because of this. You don't want to add music and then have to try to take it out later. And also that the music you want to upload with the video, if you are adding music, you want to upload it natively to the platform so that it helps boost you again in the algorithm. So the way that music trends work, thanks to TikTok, is that any sound attached to a video, if you click on that sound, you'll see all the other videos populated by that sound. So we want to make sure that the sound, first of all, that the music doesn't have lyrics that are overpowering your voiceover. And also that the sound is relevant and trending and fits your brand. So my recommendation again, when you're in the editing phase, don't try to add music yet. Just edit the video first. Cut all those clips into the most visually engaging parts. And maybe leave in things every once in a while. There's some examples on my page you might find from my day in the life content where maybe there's something I said to the client and I actually cut out the voiceover so you can hear what we're saying. Or I cut out the voiceover so you can listen to the sound of the ocean or something in that way. So you want to really edit the visuals first and audio second. The next, with CapCut, this is something that people usually forget. It automatically ends a watermark at the end of your video, so you're going to want to delete that before you export. And then you'll go into the voiceover. So when you're recording a voiceover natively in the editing app, which I would recommend, you can also do it in Instagram or in TikTok. For me, it's easier to just add the voiceover in CapCut or in Canva. It's a good idea to get your notes down about what you want to say first. So some little tips that you might want to implement that will really help with your day in the life content is to always start it the same way. Always start it with day in my life as a blankety blank at blankety blank. The reason is because that will set the tone for the episode that then becomes part of the series. So imagine like you're a 15-year-old and you're watching your favorite show. Like when you hear the theme song of your favorite show, you tune in, right? You're like, oh, I know what this is. This is going to be good. Similarly, your voiceover hook should start to become something that you use so regularly that you get known for it. So just like I start this podcast, greetings and welcome back to the Kiss My Aesthetic podcast. That is what I say every single time without fail, because I want that to be the cue to turn your brain on that you should be paying attention, right? So day in my life as the blankety blank of blankety blank. That's going to be your hook for your day in the life content. Then after you've hit that, you want to give context and background to the time of the year, where you are, why you're going to be there, what you're going to be doing in your day in the life content. This is where the actual voiceover and the visuals could be contrasting each other. So we may see on screen the bits of your morning routine, but what we want to hear is it's February and today is going to be a super packed day because I have these projects that I'm working on and I'm going to go do this volunteering effort. And then I can't wait to bring my dog to the beach, whatever that is, right? So although we're seeing the visuals of your morning routine, what I don't want to see, unless you're literally like a food Instagrammer, is like, first I start my day with coffee and then I make eggs and toast and then I do this 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 and then too repetitive. This is not your personal diary. This is not your journal. This is an insight into who you are and how you do your job well. So day in my life as a blankety blank of blankety blank, it's this month. We're working on yada yada. We just finished blah, blah, blah. We're excited to yada da da da. But you want to start to give the hook for what they're going to see by the end of the video. So today we're working on one of our biggest branding projects to date and presenting it to the client at the end of this video. Would be a great thing to include at the beginning of your day in the life voiceover. You all know how much I love a brag-worthy brand. And when it comes to creating stickers and labels that elevate your branding, Sticker Giant is the brand that you can trust. Whether you're looking to create something for your next launch, elevate your brand, or add a little extra flair to your packaging, Sticker Giant's custom stickers and labels help you get your brand noticed in all the right ways. They've got a dedicated team handling every single detail, so you can count on Sticker Giant to bring your designs to life just the way that you imagined. If you're ready to give your brand an extra boost, go to stickergiant.com and use code KMA podcast for 15% off your order. Sticker Giant, your partner in the sticker and label business. Then you want to also talk as if you're giving someone who might book a service with you. Again, not like your personal diary. So you want to talk to the person as if they're on the other side of a discovery call, or as if they've been a looky-loo in your services or your products and they just like haven't taken the jump yet. Again, this isn't a sales call. It's not a sales pitch, but the idea is to say some kind of like teaser to how you're solving a problem for someone else or answering a frequently asked question. It's also a pretty good idea to include a story of how you solved a problem, right? Or did something that your competitors don't do. So I love this as an option because it kind of piques someone's interest, or it kind of like creates enough tension or question as to be like, okay, I didn't realize that. So I might say something like, I'm working on a branding project. I actually, unlike other designers, I actually live stream my entire logo design process so anyone can sit in and watch how I make logos. Like I might say something like that, again, as more of like a little perk or a little like ting, like little poke to say like, this is what makes me special. So that's something that you can do in your voiceover to keep people engaged. The other thing I like to do in a voiceover is some kind of extraneous question to encourage comments. This is kind of like a low blow. It's not something I would totally recommend to do every single time. But if you, for example, you're sharing clips of how you met someone for lunch and you were trying to decide between a margarita or a Paloma, be like, and I could never decide margarita or Paloma. Let me know what you like in the comments. And we may see the video clip of that might be like you ordering at the restaurant, right? So it's one of those things that's like, it's kind of a hook. It's kind of a gotcha. But what you're doing is you're trying to give someone, people like to be told how to interact with your content. So if you tell them, hey, this or this, what do you like? You're giving them permission to just create a comment. Again, more comments help you boost in the algorithm, yada, yada, yada. So let's say, for example, you're the real estate group. You're showing, today I'm setting up for an open house. I love this open concept kitchen. I would totally bake cinnamon rolls in here, but I can't decide if I would bake cinnamon rolls first or French toast. What do you think? And like have somebody comment on something that's, again, superfluous, but comments nonetheless, that kind of takes the pressure off them to have to try to come up with something to say if they're interested. At the end of your voiceover, you want to come up with a call to action about when they can expect the next day in the life vlog style content. So see you next week when I go to blank. Follow along for more behind the scenes of blank. Work with us by booking your own blank, blank, blank. You want to end with not just like, okay, and that's it. Okay, bye. Like there's nothing worse than like going to a public speaking event or being at a wedding and hear someone give a speech and they get to the end of their speech and they go, and that's basically it. It just like leaves you feeling like, oh, okay, like weird. End strong. End on a call to action, end on what they can expect next, end on where they can get more information, end on something that gives some kind of inspires some kind of action from your audience. Then once you've edited your full video with voiceover, with our clients, we give them options. So we say, you can send it to us and we can schedule it for you, or you can post it directly. So a lot of times with day in the life content, obviously you don't want to schedule it out for like 3 weeks from when you actually had that day, but you can totally utilize our team to help you schedule. If you want to post yourself, because we believe that all of our clients should have access to all of their socials at all time, and the more content they make, the better. These are kind of our guidelines for posting. So first and foremost, you want to add a title natively in whatever platform you're posting on. So whether that's Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube Shorts, wherever, on that video, you want to make sure that there's some kind of signifier text that says day in my life on it, on screen. You want to keep this like the lower 1/3 of the screen, just so we're not interrupting any of the subject matter. And also be mindful of the UI UX at the bottom and on the right 1/6 of the screen where the likes, comments, shares, buttons live. You don't want to have any text that's going to interfere with that. So a good rule of thumb is like lower third, centered, probably come in on the sides by like 1/6 of the screen on each side. It's also a good idea to add in on-screen captions natively in the app that you're posting on. Again, because I don't know if this is substantiated or not, but there was kind of a rumor saying that like if you have your captions written out by the social platform, it helps that social platform know what your video is about, and therefore helps you get boosted in whatever platform that you're on. So making sure that you have the captions there so people can follow along. This is also important because not everybody watches videos with audio. So if the bulk of your day in the life content is recorded so that you can really show people what it is that you do every day for your job, you want to make sure that those captions are turned on, because someone might be standing in line at the grocery store or not really wanting to be like hearing the audio. So having the captions and letting people read the subtitles essentially is a great way to kind of meet them where they're at. When it comes to music, sometimes it's a good idea to add music, sometimes it's not. The days that it's not good to add music is when you're using a song that might be taken down because it will mute your entire clip. So be really careful about the music that you are picking on social media, because if there's any reason that that audio would be interfered with down the road, you may lose your voiceover on that. So if you're going to add background music, my first consideration is always to think about what's going to be trending on Instagram or TikTok and make sure that it doesn't have lyrics that are not aligned with your brand's values or your brand vibe. So if it's a real estate group, let's not like post some song with it that's not a fit. Let's go for more of like a bossa nova vibe, or like a smooth jazz, or something that has like a more chill energy. Like maybe Bad Bunny Full Volume is not the right one, right? Like don't just pick the song because it's trending, pick because it aligns with your values. It helps if it's trending, but I'd sooner see a brand pick background audio that fits their values than just pick a song because it's trending. You also want to make sure that you bring down the audio on the background music to about a 5. So you can do this by clicking on the song, clicking audio levels, and dragging that slider down to about 5 and keeping your voiceover at 100. That seems to be the good balance between like voiceover sound and music sound. There's nothing worse than watching like a day in the life vlog content where the background audio is like at 100 and you can't at all hear what the person is saying in their voiceover. So that's another suggestion there. You want to make sure that your caption includes the call to action. It's also my recommendation for any kind of serialized content like this, day in the life content, case study content, that you start your caption the same way every time. Day in my life as a blankety blank to blankety blank, some cliff notes of what's in the video, and then that same call to action that you use at the end. And you want to add some kind of on-brand Reels cover. If you don't have the opportunity to add the Reels cover, even just dragging to get a cover so that you get that title that says day in the life plus maybe your face or something that's relevant to your job as that kind of cover graphic is a good idea. You can also fix that afterwards by going in and adding your own Reels cover. And I believe Instagram specifically is launching even more ways to customize that experience. So stay tuned on that. Lastly, if you're doing this on Instagram, posting your day in the life vlog style content on your business page, don't be shy to invite yourself, your personal page, as a collaborator, because you are still a person and the business is the business. But for example, if you're one of the partners in a real estate group and you've just filmed your day in the life content all day, invite your page to it as well and get that added benefit of having both the business page and the personal page be sharing that same reel onto both of the feeds. So I know that was a doozy, but that's the whole recap of the filming day in the lifestyle content, how you can do that as a founder, how you can do it regularly and consistently. And like all things, it's a muscle. The more you do it, the stronger you get at it. That's my recommendation. My best case scenario for everyone listening, this should be a weekly practice, if not a monthly practice. Just come with me, get ready with me, day in the life, sit over my shoulder as I do my job to let people in and really see what you've got going on. That being said, that was 30 minutes already. And we still have a whole second piece of content that I wanted to recap. So the second piece of content that I think all founders should be doing, video content that all founders should be doing on a regular basis, is what I call a client case study recap video. So in this, similar to the day in the life content, but also different. So what this does is the purpose is to showcase how you solved someone's problem by working through almost like a scientific method approach to this was their problem, this was our recommendation, this was the work, this was the solution, here were the results. So first and foremost, just like the last one, you want to start with your preparation and your outline. Think of an example of a large scale, challenging project that's a good example of what you and your team are able to accomplish and gave the other person significant results. That's the first thing. So think about that dream client, think about that project that went amazing, think about that sale that was awesome, that was like more than you've ever sold ever. That's what I want you to think of in your head. That's just what I want you to plot out. Your outline for this video is as follows. There's an intro, which is a brief overview of the customer or client and their goals or their pain points. The second was the challenge. So what were they doing that wasn't working for them? What had they done previously? How did they find their way to you? The next is the solution. So highlighting the services, strategies, products, etc., that you provided to them. And lastly, the results. So showcasing any measurable outcomes, successes, happy stories, other results, testimonials, etc., that really showcase that what you did worked. The next is you want to gather all your content and materials. So this takes a little bit more work, and you don't have to do it this way, but this, again, best case scenario. Collect all of the photos, videos, emails, text, screenshots, presentations, links, anything that was relevant to this project that really showcases the work product, or the development stage or the packaging process, whatever that is, right? And you want to move all that content into one folder. So for us, that looks like a folder called clients. Under the client name, case study. Under the case study, it's the actual service, like the title of the service. So for our tour group, it would be like the tour name. For real estate, it would be like home sell or home buyer. The date, also important, and the location. So that should all be in the title of your folder to really keep that thing organized. Because remember, you're going to do this serialized. You're going to do it over and over again. So having a database where you have all this content stored and organized is going to help you so much in the content creation portion. The third step of this is actually talking face to camera, just like I'm doing now, especially if you're watching on YouTube. Hey, but you want to make sure that you are well lit, you're in the center of the frame, the camera is eye level to you, and that you have a clear space above your head, if you're watching on YouTube now, and below your chin to be able to add text. This is something that people usually forget, is that there's a tendency to want to get this close to your face and FaceTime with your phone when you're doing any kind of talking face to camera. You can create a little more distance. This is permission to create a little bit more distance because you're going to want this negative space above and below to add any relevant information or add in the screenshots from the photos and videos of the project. Make sense? The other thing to think about is how you start your video. So just like the day in the life example, we want to start with the same hook. How we blank for blank. How we provided a tour for 40 people in La Jolla, how we sold a home in less than 30 days for our clients moving from out of town. How we how we blank for blank. And the for should be the ideal client at the end, right? So how we provided service, sold product, created strategy for demographic. Then you want to film a 4 to 5 minute long recap of the entire project, but try to keep only the most essential message. This is very hard to do, but I want you to think about it as if you're calling your friend, your long lost friend, who you haven't talked to in a while, and they say, "Oh my gosh, how's work going? Tell me about a project that you had recently." And I want you to start with, "Oh my gosh, yes, we had this total dream client recently who came to us. It's so crazy. They came to us because she was following me on TikTok and then she found my live streams and they filled out the contact form and you won't believe that blah, 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 blah. And then we had the discovery call and it was so amazing because she said that they need this, 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 this. And I said, I got you because we've done that before. And we did that for so-and-so and it worked out great. So we started her project on this day, Just top of the dome, absolutely just unload the whole project as if you were, again, gossiping to a best friend, telling them about how amazing it was to do the thing that you did. The reason you want to do this is because it cuts out a lot of the bullshit of the having to feel on or having to feel like you have a sales message. So the case study client project, although it's intended to be viewed by the person who's going to then hire you, you want to make sure that you're talking to someone in a friendly, authentic, on-brand type of way. And you can film this really easily, just like iPhone camera, or if you're the kind of person that needs more visual cues, you can use the green screen mode. Green screen mode is great because you can then reference all of the photos, videos, emails, text, screenshots, presentations, etc. to the background of you, which sometimes helps spur your own sentence structure, etc., because you can kind of create that punctuation by changing out the graphics. So once you have this 4 to 5 minute long recap of the project, then you edit it down. You want to make sure you keep the call to action in, just like the Day to Your Life video. But step 4 of this process is really, really coming in with the editing. And this is where we let clients decide whether they choose to edit or if they want to send it to us. So when we get the clips, these are kind of the steps that we'll take to edit the footage. The first footage that we're cutting through is all of that face to camera footage. What can we take out of this storytelling that's fluff? What can we take out for pauses, like any kind of vocal disruption? How can we shorten the message to take out anything that's repetitive? And that's what we're listening to first. So opposite of the day in the life content where you are editing for visuals first, on the case study content, you edit for audio first. You want to make sure that that story is really strong. Then we will cut through all of that. We will add captions on screen in the brand fonts, colors, any misspellings. You can either do that at this stage or you can do it when you're uploading it into the platform. As I mentioned, rumors going around that if you add the captions natively in the platform, it helps you boost in the algorithm because then that becomes searchable. Jury's out on that. It definitely enhances the user experience. So that's one thing. What we will also do is find ways to add in any of those extra visuals. So if you haven't done that yet because you didn't do the green screen, we can add in or layer in the video clips from the open house or the photos from the food tour or the images of the new product that got delivered. That's a really great way to kind of enhance the storytelling and create more context and more visuals. So all those supporting videos, graphics, photos, etc., will be added into that voiceover. And so that's why that becomes the storyline piece and the visuals become separate. We may also need to mute the audio from the clips just to make sure that it's not distracting from the voiceover, but that's kind of the editing chunk. From there, we're going into all of the exporting and posting. So when you're exporting that video, we can either schedule it with him later or we can have you post it right away. We want to make sure that we're adding that title, just like we did with the day in the life content, add some kind of text title that says client case study, what the project was, whether that has a project name, rebranding for blah, 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 home sale in this neighborhood, tour in this area, that kind of thing. Or you can say kind of who the demographic was. So it could be like client case study, makeup makeover for this type of person, for example. Then same rules apply for adding background music, same rules apply for adding captions, same rules apply for adding a cover, and same rules apply for inviting yourself as a collaborator. So those would be the steps on the exporting and posting. This is where it's really important to have that lower third below the chin and above the head to have room for captions, titles, any extra visuals. That's the really important part of this case study thing. So the case study video content is so wonderful because it then becomes chapters in your own job proficiency. If you can consistently post case study videos, here's how we redesigned someone's kitchen start to finish. Here's how we designed a bathroom remodel start to finish. And we can see from mood board to rendering to construction to finished product, it wraps up what it is that you can do in a short, digestible video. And the more you have of these, the more it will show people how competent you are at what you do or what you provide. So that's the case study. So you have 2 assignments if you're still listening this far into the podcast episode. The first is to film day in the life content, and the second is to film case study project content. And this is your guide for doing both of those. If you've gotten this far, you might need to listen to this on half speed. I know I went through that very quickly. If you're a client of ours, this is typed up in your docs and files, so you can follow those steps exactly. And just remember, your first one is probably going to be shit. The first one's probably going to be bad. The only way you get better at it is by continuing to do them. So good luck out there. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If it was helpful to you, please share, send to a friend, tag us on social media. I would love to see your day in the life and case study content. So if you're making stuff like this, please don't hesitate to tag me. I would love to hype you up in the comments, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.